We are joined today for episode 13 of Trivia Showdown. We are going to talk with Chris, is it Dinga? I get that right? I haven't technically asked you. That's totally on me. Yep. All right. And then Michael DeRosa of, more than likely, if people know them from House of Enterprise, House of College Hoops, Dinga and DeRosa. That's how I know them. Of course, Michael's been on the show a couple of times talking college basketball. That's on me for being a bad host and not getting the right names. But before we jump into everything and before I jump into the rules, I'll have these guys introduce themselves, or for Michael's case, kind of reintroduce themselves, anybody that might be new here. We'll start with the first-time guest. Chris, let people know where they can find you and anything you might be working on. This is obviously, as we're recording this, people don't really know when it's going to go out. Time sensitive here, not really, but welcome to the show, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you, Trevor. I'm talking to the people of the future, which is interesting. It's a new thing for me, but you can find me on Twitter at Thedinga. I'm primarily over at House Enterprise and Road to the Garden. I'm primarily a Big East guy, but really stoked to talk college hoops here.
Michael?
MD, the dream is the name. Trivia is the game. Chris, you're going down. Road to the Garden 1. Me, the king, the bad guy himself.
Yeah, I'm glad you acknowledge you're the bad guy. Thank you for that.
Someone's got to be, you know?
For those that are new here, Michael obviously is, and we talked about these guys. Both these guys are from House of College Hoops. Michael's been on the show before. You guys have heard what he's been working on. But this will be awesome bragging rights amongst the Road to the Garden crew, the House of College Hoops crew. Everybody that's involved with the three of us, this is going to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, they're going to have to hold in whoever wins or loses for basically a month, calendar month. So I appreciate the patience ahead of time, fellas. But without further ado, because this is going to take a little bit of time, of course, we'll jump right into it. A couple of rules for the new folks here, for anybody that needs a refresher, for you guys as well, won't hurt. 10 questions. We've been doing this now for 13 episodes. Really appreciate the support on that. We are going to go through those questions. 2 of them are going to be multiple choice. That is only to the fault of the first episode was like that, and so we had to stick to it, to be fair. But 10 questions, 2 multiple choice. We're going to have some Big East stuff thrown in there. Wasn't really a theme. I had some questions prepared for months that I just always had sitting for college basketball, and I know you guys cover everything and really are good at what you do. So I think this will be good for that. But some Big East questions in there. We've also got one Guess That Big East Player by resume. So that's a Big East one in there to help throw you guys a little bit of a bone, as well as a closest to the number without going over that number. We'll get the point on that style of question as well. Then we'll jump into a finale. Hopefully it's, not 15-10 or something crazy like that. When we head to the finale, I want to make sure we have a fighting chance for somebody. You have 60 seconds to name as many possible answers to the finale question as possible. So any questions about the format before we jump into it?
No, all good.
Cool. All right. I require you to write an answer for everything because we've had some really hilarious answers. Even if it might be not correct, it's just, helps content. I appreciate it, of course. We all make content here. As well as the fact that 3 rules for the listeners and for you guys as well. I want you to have fun. I want you to learn something, and we want it to be really difficult. So let's jump right into it. Question number 1. That might have been the shortest intro in Trivia Showdown history. I'm excited to get jumped in here. Question 1. What program has the most NCAA tournament wins in history without a national title? And I will tell you if it's multiple choice. I'll tell you if it's a special format. This is just free answer. We're starting things out loose to get going here.
You said without a natty, correct?
Correct. And I'll read the question a couple different times. You can ask questions like that. Totally fine there. Of course, want to fill time for the listeners, of course. So I'll read the question again. Some of these, there's not really a time limit. Some of them I think you'll need more time than others. I'm not really clocking anything here. Maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute and a half, whatever we feel like it here. So what program has the most NCAA tournament wins without a national championship? I was going to do a bonus point for the amount. I'm going to decide based on what I haven't decided yet, but there's already 2 opportunities for bonus points later on for the amount of wins. I do think it's interesting, but we'll talk about why in just a few minutes. So While these fellas are thinking on the last 30 seconds here, that's just enough time for a SeatGeek ad. Don't forget to use code 2Pointers for $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek link in the top of the description. You're hearing this in the middle of the summer, so of course, unless you're going to something like TBT or maybe the Olympics, if in Paris for whatever reason, right? If you're listening to this, you're probably not going to a basketball game, is my point. But we greatly appreciate the support, no matter how you use it: baseball, concerts, sporting events, whatever it is you're going to be using it for. $20 off your first purchase. Code 2Pointers. So I'm sure these guys are not want to hear ads the entire time. So do we all have an answer? I'll have a lock-in from each of you before we get it.
I got one.
I got one. I'm not confident.
All right, it's a low conference rate here.
So Chris is the first time guest here, so we'll get Chris's answer first, and I'll have each of you reveal it, and then I'll give the answer and some context behind the question. So Chris, go right ahead. Show the screen and let listeners know what the answer is.
So, also, my writing was probably a little too small. I'll get better.
It's all good.
I did Arkansas. Okay.
They have a natty. So
Do they? See, that was my. When did they win it?
Nolan Richardson, 1994,
I think is probably.
Yeah.
Don't give him the year. That could be a question. That could be a question in the future.
Could be. Yeah.
Okay.
Michael, give me your answer.
I wrote Gonzaga, and then I wrote, if it's Houston, I will be angry.
All right. So, I will not be giving a bonus point here because I think the two other ones are a little bit harder. The correct answer is Gonzaga. With 44 NCAA tournament wins. Gonzaga with 44. Michael takes a 1-0 lead there. I just thought it was interesting that the number was in the 40s. Like, I didn't think this question was abnormally difficult by any means. I'm not saying it was a stretch for the first question, but that's just a nice little warm-up for us. So we'll keep rolling. That was easy, quick and little bragging rights for Michael. Obviously, we got a little bit longer to go here before it's over. Question number 2. UConn was the first... UConn this year. Let me reword that. UConn was the number 1 overall seed and won this year. Who was the last team to win the national championship as the number 1 overall seed? To be clear, team and year. That kind of, you could just say a program, and I'd be like, well,
yeah.
You could say a multi-time winner, and I probably should clarify. Program and year would be much appreciated for the answer. And like I said, you can think out the thought process out loud. Obviously, be careful. Don't help your opponent out in any way. But anything we're thinking here? I love this. These guys are competitive. I could tell. It's gonna be a lot of easy editing work. It's good.
Yeah, I'm trying to go backwards and name the teams, and it's like, were they the number 1 overall? They were a 1, but not the 1. I don't know.
It's good.
I'm almost certain the team I am doing did it, but I don't know if it's the most recent.
Yeah, I got one that it's like, but I'm very certain it's not the most recent, but it's the one that's coming to my head. Because
seem like we both have an answer, so I think that's a good cue there.
Give me a second.
No, you're good. Take your time. Like I said, I'm not really clocking these too hard. I'll read the question one more time for the audio listeners, audio folks. UConn was the number 1 overall seed this year when they won the national championship. Who was the last team to win the national championship as a number 1 overall seed?
That's not right.
Let's go with Michael this time.
It's not right, but Kansas 2021.
Okay.
I think they were third
Kansas
overall.
2021. Okay. Chris?
See, I don't know. I'm almost certain they were the number 1 overall seed, and I know they won it. But it had to have been more recent, but I'm still going to go with it. Hopefully Michael gets to sit down and eat a meal cooked by him. I'm going to go Rick Pitino in Louisville in 2013.
So this was unintentionally a Big East tie question, but it's going to be a knotted up game after 2 questions. Louisville 2013 is correct. That is the correct answer. Chris ties it up, like I said, 1-1. I wish I had more backstory. Like with the NBA questions, I have a ton of fun backstory for the questions, and I really don't for these, and I feel terrible because I'm like, congrats, guys, it's 1-1.
No, that's a good one, though. Yeah.
Shout out to every broadcast ever, probably is where I got it from. Or, Twitter's kind of a sicko space for trivia now. So it used to be Sporkle, but now it's to everybody. I feel like post questions on Twitter now. And now, there's just answers everywhere for that stuff. So,
Trevor, I got a quick, before we go on number 3, I got a quick settle a debate for Michael and I, because we have this debate certainly every probably 5 or 6 days or so. Rick Pitino, a good chef or not? Or a good home cook or not?
I feel like there's context to this question I'm missing.
Just give me an answer. Do you think Rick Pitino could make a good meal or not?
Are you a huge sports fan and want to learn more about the business of sports? The events, deals, media, or how leaders got started in their career? On the Farrell Sports Business Podcast, I talk to athletes, agents, marketers, TV execs, PR pros, and CEOs. I'm the host, Matt Farrell. I have worked 30 years in sports, including my Farrell Sports Consulting business. Join me for interviews with these industry unicorns. Go to your favorite podcast spot and look for the Farrell Sports Business Podcast.
He's Italian, so
Italian immigrant.
I'd have to say it. You know, I don't know if this is like the proper thing here. I don't want to get canceled, but Italians are good cooks, are they not? Like, I mean, I'm gonna go with
Italian.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna go with sure,
Thank
but
you.
he has enough money that he doesn't have to cook for himself. So
Thank you. And all
okay,
the
so it's
stories
kinda-
are of him in a restaurant and doing whatever it is. Like
Michael
That is
claims
fair.
that if you go to restaurants, you can't be a good
that
cook,
is
and that
not
is
the claim.
absurd.
The claim is that he doesn't have to cook for himself. When the last time you think Rick Pitino cooked for himself was?
Last week, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of with Michael on that, but like the Italian gene thing, I feel like it's the ultimate trump card. Because look, if he wasn't Italian before he took over the St. John's job, he sure as heck is now. Because I feel like this is the most like Italian he's ever felt and looked in his life, other than maybe some of the mob boss days up. But yeah, like I mean, just the way he talks, like the way he posts about the Yankees, like everything. It's just crazy. Like I don't know. I love it. I love this Rick Pitino. I love this era that we're in. And look, I couldn't do a college basketball trivia show without him being a freaking answer choice. Okay, guys, like let's be real for a second. Like he's just. It's just perfect, and you guys are Big East guys, so here we are.
Yeah, that's bad for the brand of the Rick Pitino update guy. That's a bad brand hell there.
Hey, shout out to Rick Pitino because the if you don't count, like if you're not counting YouTube videos or podcast downloads, the single most viral piece of content I've ever created was his quote this year at the Charleston Classic about the not reading a scouting report. So shout out to Rick Pitino for my content.
Is
Appreciate
Kansas 2008 the one before the Rick
I have
Pitino?
no idea. I wish some of these I had good
I
follow
would
up
have
on.
looked it
But
up,
that'd be good for
and
the
then if I had
listeners.
put that, because that was what I thought at first. If I had put that, I would be protesting right now that his the Rick Pitino title was actually vacated. For the Chanel film. So if I was smart, that's what I would have done.
Wish we had time to settle that debate, but like it happened, and my memory knows it happened, so I will not be vacating it
The
in my mind.
NCAA says it didn't happen.
Yeah,
and
the
if you
NCAA
know
said
about
a lot
the
of
NCAA,
things.
They're right about everything. So
That is a really good way to move on to question number 3. This one is multiple choice, so tied 1-1. You'll have an opportunity here. Nice concurrent. We'll think about the way we answer questions in school. Maybe this is Big East themed as well, so double-edged sword there. I think this one's kind of a nice one for you. Multiple choice question number 3. What program has the Big East played the most in the national championship game in conference history? So all Big East schools of every year ever. What program has the Big East as a conference played the most in the national championship game? I'll read the answer choices to you. You don't have to write the letter. You got to get the program. I'm gonna read it so many times you're gonna forget what letter was what. You can write them down. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. So one more time. What program has the Big East played the most in the national championship game in conference history? Is it A, UNC, B, Michigan, C, Indiana, or D, Kentucky? And again,
Is it the current iteration of the conference, or is it just the history of the Big East Conference?
I am going with the history of the Big East Conference because that's how StatHead records it. And if StatHead's willing to make me pay $9.99 a month, I'm willing to accept that they got the tracking of all this right. We're going to go with that with a smiley face. Thanks, StatHead, if you want to sponsor me. What program has the Big East played the most in national? And I will clarify, there are some stats in some questions today. That's a great question. That will be a certain era baked in because of the way stats are recorded. There are some things we just have to clarify. The Big East, the way conferences are tracked in most places, to my knowledge,
Right.
it's just the iteration of as long as the conference was in good standing and like was standing, I guess would be the way to put it, then whoever was in it. Like the ACC still counts those Southern days somehow, like my ACC tie, to this whole thing. Like we still track this Southern Conference as the ACC technically. There's some weird stuff back then for some of those guys. Like when South Carolina was an ACC team, for crying out loud. So I'll read it one more time. Answer choices. If you need it one more time, I can read them again. We'll get an answer here shortly. What program has the Big East played the most in the national championship game in conference history? Is it A, UNC, B, Michigan, C, Indiana, or D, Kentucky? Really good programs on that list, I might add. No one's shocked by that, I think. So do we feel confident? Do we have an answer? All of the above?
I've got one.
All right, we'll go back to Chris. We'll flip it. Chris?
Okay. I just think about when, the era that the Big East would have been in the most championships. And so that kind of, to me, ruled out Michigan to some extent, and it ruled out Indiana. So I was between the other two, and I went North Carolina, UNC.
Michael? I like the explanation from Chris. Let's hear it from you.
I tried to list out some games that I remembered off the top of my head.
That's a good way to do it, yeah.
Yeah, just very quickly, because I didn't want to take the entire time to try to think it out. Plus, that would have been wrong anyway, because I know myself. So Chris and I have the same answer. I am so bad at learning the things. I went UNC. You can see it big there.
Okay.
And then I wrote some of the games. They played Georgetown. They played Nova. Michigan has the Seton Hall in the Louisville game. Indiana, Cuse, and Kentucky. Does
that say Hoyas? Does it say something about Hoyas in there? Obviously,
I wrote lean. That's the one I'm probably going to put. Just when I heard it first,
Hoyas.
It was I'm putting UNC. So I wrote the word lean there, and then I wrote Hoyas, Nova, and then they must have played UConn at some point. UConn's been in 18.
What's the one next to Indiana? This is great. The YouTube audience is having a field day. The listeners are confused.
That was the game in '87. Keith Smart hit the shot. See, I know ball. That bonus point to myself.
What was it? What does it say next to Indiana though? That's what I want.
I wrote dash and then Cuse because
Cuse. Okay, I couldn't honestly. I couldn't tell. I wanted for the context. So really quick, one more time, Chris. You said
North Carolina. Yeah.
Michael.
Same answer. North Carolina.
Okay. So I'll kind of go through a couple of them. Kentucky, they played one time in 1996, was against Syracuse. Indiana, I thought was going to be the curveball. I really did. I thought Indiana was the curveball because of their storied history, kind of pre-1990. We're going to go with that because I want to walk on eggshells around Indiana fans nowadays. One time, 1987, also against Syracuse. UNC, they played twice. And so, unfortunately, we're not giving out a point here. 1982 versus Georgetown and 2016 versus Villanova, which means Michigan is the correct answer. 1989 versus Seton Hall, 2013 versus Louisville. Again, I'm counting that for the sake of the context of how all this is tracked. I'm sorry. And then 2018 versus Villanova. So, the correct answer there, again, is B, Michigan. Unfortunately, no bonus points or anything like that, but multiple choice Big East.
I am very embarrassed. I forgot about the Nova Michigan game because I was literally talking about Dante DiVincenzo to someone yesterday and how he went off in that game, and that I completely forgot it existed today. So
that's also the Trey Burke year, no? Or am I old enough to think Trey Burke is even older than that?
No, that was
oh, jeez.
Stauskas.
Mitch McGarry. Trey Burke was the year they played Louisville, and
Man,
then
I'm getting old.
Yeah, and then the Michigan one. I don't even remember that Michigan team. I remember that was the year Jordan Poole hit that dumb shot, I think.
That was the Jordan Poole.
Yeah,
that's right.
And I had Houston beating them in my bracket, and I thought I was so smart because I loved Rob Gray. Turns out that didn't
some other interesting ones there that I didn't mention in the answer choices that I think are worthy to be mentioned. Kansas one time, 2003 versus Syracuse, very famous one. And then Duke, 1999 against UConn, very famous one as well.
Yep.
So, all right. We're going to go with a little fun format here. This one is going to be question number 4. We'll get a score update really quick, just to remind me for editing as well.
It's 1-1.
1-1.
All right.
Hot start.
Question number... Hey, that's the intention. I want it to be difficult. All right. Question number 4. Guess that Big East player by resume. One of my favorite things. Now, I'm going to be uber careful because I have almost slipped up doing this format many, many times. I'm giving you everything, and the only reason I'm giving you stats in college is because the NBA is 78 years, and it's the way it's skewed, and there's some other things that really could give it away. College, I don't think stats give it away. I really don't. I am going to omit certain stats, though, just because I think that, again, would help you more than it should. So I'm going to read everything of their resume except for the years that they did it. Okay? So this Big East player is a one-time NCAA All-Region team. This is right off of Basketball Reference, by the way. They're a one-time consensus All-American. They're a one-time Big East Player of the Year, and you can write this down. I'm going to read this multiple times. This is the one you'll get a lot of time on. One-time Big East Player of the Year. They're a two-time All-Big East Player, a two-time All-Big East Tourney Player, and a Big East All-Freshman. They played 101 games in their career. They averaged 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 2.4 assists. And I, in a minute, may give you the shooting splits. Again, I'm treading on eggshells there. Again, I'll read it. NCAA All-Region one time, Consensus All-American one time Big East Player of the Year, two-time All-Big East, 2-time All Big East tournament team, and then 1-time Big East All Freshman that averaged 19, 6, and 2.4 assists on 101 games played. Any clarifying questions there? Anything you want me to reread? Any thoughts we're thinking? I feel like this one's one of the more difficult ones I've done, but the Big East has had so many storied players that as soon as I start rattling these like guys that just have a resume that's as long as like the sheet of paper in front of me, like you guys are going to pull that. So it's supposed to be hard.
There is not a chance I pulled this one.
People have said that before on this.
Is this a player from the current iteration of the Big East, or are we talking like could this be someone on Louisville who's been answered 7 times in this so far?
What do y'all consider? Again, what is your cutoff for the current? Am I missing? I don't follow the Big East.
I would say just the 11 teams.
2011, 13, I heard somewhere in there.
I would say just would it be someone from the 11 teams that are currently in the Big East?
Oh yeah. This team's currently in the Big East. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good way to answer. That's a really good clarifying question. I like that. That's why I asked, because I'm like, is that a way to bait me into saying after what year or before what year? I'm like, I don't know. But I like the way. Yes, this is a team that is currently in the Big East. I don't think that helps or hurts. So I think that's fair.
I also just want to point out that I just got a text from my sister that says, I'm going to take some of your tiramisu that's in the fridge. So she's taking advantage of me right now. So if I lose, it's under protest, and I'm blaming my sister.
If you win, Chris should have to buy you tiramisu. That should be the prize.
Ooh, okay.
No, fair. I didn't make the rules. I don't know. I'm not Chris's wallet either. So, all right. I'll read it one more time, and then we'll start getting close to an answer. I may throw in some splits or something about the NBA. I don't know yet. Let's see. 1-time NCAA All-Region. 1-time Consensus All-American. They were a Big East Player of the Year 1 time. 2-time All Big East Player. 2-time All Big East Tournament Player. Big East All Freshman 1 time. 101 games in their career. 19.6 rebounds, 2.4 assists. Would you rather have something? I'll ask you guys this. You have to agree on it. If you don't agree on it, then I'm not going to give you a hint. I like that. It's a good wrinkle. You guys do a podcast together, for crying out loud. Would you rather have an NBA hint, or would you rather have their shooting splits? There's a reason I'm holding those two up as the potential. You can figure out that how you want. I'll give you 30 seconds to think about it.
Mike, I would rather do college shooting splits, but that's because I don't watch the NBA very much.
I was rather thinking NBA, because if this guy is not going to give anything away, but I was thinking NBA. I can't lie.
All right. That's fine.
Okay.
Do we agree on the NBA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were a lottery pick.
Nice hint, Mike. Good job.
I was hoping I'll explain when I give my answer, but
yeah. This is a good. That was a good walk back, because it could have been a lot worse.
All right, I got my answer.
All right, Michael.
Yeah, I'm locking mine in.
He said, "Yeah." All
Yeah,
sad,
I
like. All right, Chris locked it in confidently, so I don't know what order we're in, but I'm gonna ask Chris first. I'm curious.
So all right, I'm just going to go for it. I went with Richard Hamilton. Nice. He's a lottery pick. He won it for UConn, who's a current team. I don't know. It seemed like a good venture to me.
All right. Well, this is really fun. So this player was a NCAA All-Region 1 time, Consensus All-American 1 time. They were the 1995-96 Big East Player of the Year. They were a 2-time All Big East player. They were a 2-time All Big East Tournament player. Big East All Freshman 1 time, of course. 101 games played, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 48, 44, 77 splits. And not only were they a lottery pick, they were a top 5 pick. And Michael just mouthed it. In the 1996 NBA draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves selected Ray Allen, who is a Big East legend. That was a really good one I tried to pull that wasn't like, I'm not trying to give you Doug McDermott, for crying out loud. I mean, I read his resume and you both are writing it down before I get to the fourth answer, like before I get to like anywhere near the end of his resume. So thank you for
as soon as you said
pulling Rip Hamilton.
I knew it. So
yeah, and Rip Hamilton, by the way, almost a potential answer. He was up for strong consideration. There was a few other guys that I may hold for future episodes, but he was really, really strongly considered, and he was kind of the Ray Allen, kind of throw you off the scent, vice versa. That was actually intentional, so that was really good.
Yeah, the other thing was 101 games, so it had to have been somebody that, played probably 3 years, and so Ray Allen and,
totally fair.
and Rip Hamilton were the two guys that I was kind of thinking about.
All right. Let's go to question number 5. We've got a few non-multiple choice here. We'll rip in a row. Question number 5. Who was the first coach in NCAA history to make 20 straight tournaments to start a career? So I'll read that again. Who was the first coach in NCAA tournament history or NCAA history to make 20 straight NCAA tournaments to start their career? Give you a little bit of time on this one because, again, big history in the NCAA. While you're thinking, I'll kind of talk through the thought process of this. There obviously are many, many, many coaches in NCAA history.
Is this the current iteration of the tournament? Are we talking since expansion era or just
since
tournament
ever.
in general?
Tournament in general. Ever. Yeah. Because a lot of these questions, when I had pulled them at the time, and some of them I didn't write down some of the context, it could be since a certain era, but I don't think that you guys are thinking about coaches like Everett Case, who were, NC State legend in 1940, 1950 time period here. If I'm being honest, I don't think those are the guys we're thinking about for these considerations. Spoiler, it's not Everett Case. Found a way to weasel him in there, right?
One less, yeah.
So, yeah, oh, darn, right? Only 1939, right? There's a famous clip on this show that I greatly appreciate for the comedy of it where I mentioned something about, like, I don't remember how I had worded it, but I basically said, like, oh, I think this is one you guys can get. And it was something about, like, the 1945 national championship game. And people thought it was really funny that was a context of the question. I'll play the clip right here, probably. All right. We have an answer choice of any kind. Do we have, are we locked in yet? It's okay if we're not. Just.
One question. Was it the start of his career or the start of his career at a team?
Start their career, and I'll double check that. That's a really good question. I will double check that just for the sake of fairness.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure I know the answer. It is to start a career period.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you the context of why you asked that, but maybe your answer choice will reveal that, or maybe you will have that when you reveal it. So, are we ready? Do we have an answer? Are we still thinking?
3 names. I'm still thinking.
Okay. I'll give you another. We'll have 15 seconds. No bonus point opportunity here, unfortunately. We've got that coming up here in just a few questions. So.
Okay.
All right.
Initial answer, even though I think it's going to be wrong.
All right. We'll go with you first, Michael.
I was down to John Wooden, Roy Williams, and the answer I went with, Mark Few.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah. I went with Mr. Roy Williams.
Yeah, I added Roy at the end.
John Wooden is a no. Few's a good answer. I'm curious what it is. But Roy Williams, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I wasn't certain about his career before Kansas, so if there was anything there.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to, soften the blow here. But let me read this. Let me count this, guys, really fast for the fun. I'll count it out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Roy Williams did do it 20 times. The only problem is 1988-89 at Kansas, they went 19-12, and he did not make the tournament. So I was pretty sure it was close, and I wanted to make sure, just for the fun, for the context, which means it's Mark Few. You should always go with your gut. That's what this show has taught a lot of people throughout the history of the show. You should always go with your gut, right? Don't let this be a life lesson around here. I'm not dad or anything, but look, always go with your gut. John Wooden, I think a totally fair thought as well. Of course, legendary coach at UCLA, and just for the fun of it, we're going to look up his history here. Wow, he coached from 1947 to 1975. Here's what's fun about his career. No, at Indiana State, 2 years, no tournament. It's UCLA from 48 to 49, no tournament. They were AP 15th that year. They made the tournament and regular season champs in 49-50. They missed the tournament in 50-51. They made the tournament the next year. They went on a 3-year drought, a 1-year tournament appearance, and they went on a 5-year drought. And then from 1961 to 1975, they missed the tournament once. And they obviously, as you know, won the championship, freaking 100 times out of 101. So that was a good thought processes from everybody there. After question 6, we'll get a score update. We'll keep moving. Question number 6. What team has beaten the most number 1 seeds in NCAA tournament history? What team has beaten, or what program has beaten the most number one seeds in NCAA tournament history? And this is all time as well. I don't have the data to back this one up just yet because there were some things I had to take care of tonight where I would have double-checked some of this when I wrote it down. But I wrote this down here in the last couple of weeks. So this one is accurate. It's just a matter of I forgot to write down the context of the question, unfortunately. It won't affect the fact that this isn't right or wrong. This is 100% the correct answer because I thought it was interesting. I'm trying to tread lightly on like what I say because I've accidentally said stuff like that before. I thought it was very interesting, and people are like, "Whoa, like is it because it's your favorite player or something?" And then people just go different directions with it. So I'll read it again, and we'll get an answer's choice here in just a little bit at the 30-minute mark. What team has beaten the most number one seeds in NCAA tournament history? Any hunch? Any thought process? Again, don't have to do anything if you don't feel.
I'm just going to go with a team that I know would have probably played a lot of number one seeds.
All right.
That was my exact thought process too. I can't think of anything. Problem is, I'm trying to think like in my head of. I don't want to give anything away, but there's something I'm thinking about. Okay. Believe it or not, there is something going on in this cranium.
Hey,
one of my professors actually nicknamed me Richard Cranium my freshman year. Fun fact.
Nice. All right. Shout out to that professor. I don't know if you want to put his name out there.
Shout out Professor White. Love you, White.
All right, so get an answer choice here in about 10 seconds. One more time, I'll read the question. What team has beaten the most number one seeds in NCAA tournament history? And let's get something locked in here, even if you don't think you know it. Like I said, it makes it more fun if you put the answer down. And while Michael's finishing writing, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he's done. I heard a pencil or pen down. Chris, what you got?
I got Kentucky.
Yeah.
They would have played quite a few. I know they have beaten a few. I don't know. I think that's a decent answer.
I think so too. Michael?
Yeah, Kentucky was one I considered. I wrote down UNC, UCLA. The reason I did not go with UCLA was because I didn't know like old school tournament if they did I don't know how they seeded it, so I didn't go there. I ended up going with, I'm going to mess this up again. Yes, I do as always. The Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, UCLA is an interesting thought because we just established that they were probably the one seed. Most of those times they won 100 out of 101, I think is what I said earlier as a joke. Yeah, when you win that many national championships, you eventually probably are favored or are probably the one seed. So that's a good misdirection there. And Chris, remind me who you went with, Kentucky?
I went with Kentucky. Yep.
Yeah, Kentucky's been good too, but I don't. Well, the correct answer is a blue blood. Shocker. I feel like most of these end up somehow going back to a blue blood. Duke has done it 10 times. So that is the correct answer. Duke is the correct answer with 10. Again, I would love to read you the leaderboard, but I will find it and I will put it on the screen for the YouTube audience, and that is the incentive to watch the show on YouTube and like, comment, subscribe while you're doing so. All right. Remind me of the score update really quick.
3-1. I think we got 3-1. Is that? Yeah.
3-1, Mike?
No.
All right.
My high school yearbook quote was, the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals. So if I blow a 3-1 lead, it will tie full circle, and I don't like that.
I will say this: Chris has all of the free space in front of him because you do have the 3-1 lead in front of you here. So this is interesting. I think it's funny how it's kind of playing out.
Mike, you want to bet a New York slice next Big East tournament on this right now?
I love this. Yes.
Of your choosing.
Up on that.
Choice of your pick of your choosing.
Yeah, we'll take that up.
All right.
Let's get going to question number 7.
Media day too, if you want. If you end up going for media day,
probably be there.
Yeah, I also don't know if I'm going to be there. I ain't got the capital for that.
College student here, or former college student, right?
Yeah, former.
They kicked me out this semester.
The Butler Bulldogs.
Mm-hmm.
All right, question number 7. You're getting a multiple choice, and that is unfortunately your last one of the evening. Freshmen have been a vital part of college basketball history, of course, from not being able to play to what we knew as the one-and-done era. Which of these players have averaged the most total points their freshman season? Most total points. Is it A, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf? I always forget to say his name correctly. B, Kevin Durant. C, Trae Young. Or D, Michael Beasley?
Ooh.
So I will spare you the cinematic first sentence that was for the listeners at the beginning more than anything. But which of these players averaged the most total points in a freshman season? Who was the best freshman, technically, from a scoring standpoint in NCAA history? Is it A, Abdul-Rauf? shout out to him for having an awesome name I can't pronounce. B, Kevin Durant, C, Trae Young, or D, Michael Beasley. Chris said ooh at the beginning. Was there a reason, a thought, maybe something you had explored before, maybe something you prepped?
Not really. I know how many points Trae Young scored. So that gives
the
me
number exactly.
Maybe not exact, but
Okay.
the first two digits. Yeah.
Roundabout. Okay. Is there a reason for that? I'm just curious.
I don't know. It just sticks in my head. I watched a lot of him. Yeah, he was so much fun to watch. I grew up in Nebraska, so Oklahoma.
Right.
There was a lot of fans there.
Creighton connection there. That's right.
Yeah.
Coverage of somehow the Big East has a team in the middle of the country. I love that. It's my favorite thing. They just belong though. Like I've never look, and I'm the most out of touch Big East person at the website. Like I just that's not Michael knows that. Like we've had a conversation about that. And I feel like Creighton does fit in. Like it's just kind of awesome how it works. Anyway, I asked that because it's just look, Trae Young was probably the first guy I can remember in a long time where the approval rating, my approval rating of them, went from whatever it was at its peak to whatever its lowest peak, going from college to the NBA, because I cover both, talk about the NBA a lot on this podcast. So I don't know if there's ever been a bigger swing or roller coaster ride of a college player's approval rating in my heart to a NBA player's approval rating in a certain amount of time. And I think Trae Young might have that championship crown. All right, I'll read the question one more time, and then we'll get, especially multiple choice, we'll get an answer here shortly. Which of these players averaged the most total points in a freshman season? Is it Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, B, Kevin Durant, C, Trae Young, or D, Michael Beasley? Okay. Do we have answers locked in? Looks like we do.
Yep.
DeRosa, give me your answer for me, please.
I took away Kevin Durant and Michael Beasley early, so I was down to Trae Young, and who I went with, man formerly known as Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, a.k.a. Steph Curry with a jump shot, or Steph Curry could dunk. There was some clickbait YouTube video that was titled something like that about Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, I think.
I'm going to look it up while Chris gives us his
Connor
answer.
Turnbull with the jump shot. I have Trae Young as well.
I did
27, I believe, points per game, which is higher than Michael Beasley for sure.
Yeah.
Durant certainly is probably less, so I went with Trae.
Yeah, I was down to those two.
The B-ball breakdown video I could find, Michael, I don't know if this is what you're referring to.
Might be.
But from October 5th of 2019, meet the original Steph Curry. Yeah, Chris Jackson. And fittingly enough, that's the correct answer. The correct answer is Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, or also known as Chris Jackson at Louisiana State. He had 965 points, which in the grand scheme of things, that number seems really low. Trae Young, incredible average, but he was third. He was C. They were actually in order from A, B, C to D, 1 through 4. That was kind of a fun trick I've always done, at least recently. Sorry. Actually, I have never done that for anybody listening that might actually be on the show in the following weeks. Never done that before. Wow. I just made my life a lot harder. Chris Jackson, 965 at Louisiana State. B, Kevin Durant is second with 903. Of course, at Texas. C, Trae Young with 876, like I said. And then D, Michael Beasley. I thought Michael Beasley was the wrench. I really did. I thought that was the wrench that was going to throw everyone off because he was incredible at Kansas State. So, all right. That is the last multiple choice. We've officially knocked out a category. We do still have one of my favorites, the closest to the number, coming up here shortly. It is not the next question, however. So we're going to get to that now. Question number 8. Who was the first coach in NCAA history to lead 5 different schools to the NCAA tournament? 5 different schools to the NCAA tournament. I am going to have you write down your answer. We'll lock it in. We'll do the whole format we've done for 8 questions in 39 minutes. And then I will have everybody lock it in, and then we will get a bonus point opportunity here, and it'll be the last one of the day. I was going to have you do the number for the freshman at 965 because honestly, you could have given me 965 guesses, and I don't think I would have gotten that number. So I thought it would be fun to see who gets it, and I also thought it would be really difficult because the whole point of the bonus point is to get it right on. And I'm babbling on. You don't have to listen to me because you have to be thinking right now, but, just talking for the listeners, of course. So question number 8. Again, I'll read it. Who was the first coach to lead 5 different schools to the NCAA tournament?
If you get the question wrong, do you still have the opportunity to get the bonus point?
Yes, I think that's fair. Listeners might disagree. Chris might disagree with the scoreboard right now, but I'll just say this: I'll be shocked if you get the bonus point and not the answer. I'm going to be shocked if you do.
Wait, I'm sorry. I was in my own head. What's the bonus point here?
We're going to lock everything in just a second, and then we'll say, hey, now that you've got it locked in, can't change the first thing. Now that you know the answer, I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to give you less than 30 seconds to name the bonus point.
Can you repeat the question for me one more time?
Of course. It is, who was the first coach to lead 5 different schools to the NCAA tournament? 5. Keyword there is first. There's your hint of the night.
But I can't think of anything else.
Actually, I'm going to scratch that off just in case that's the bonus question. All right.
Okay. Are we getting close to an answer? I know Michael's out here scribbling there a little bit, so that's good.
Give me a little bit. If I don't think I'm going to think of anything else, but I'm fairly confident this question's wrong. My answer's wrong.
I'm trying to figure out if it's appropriate, A, to give you a hint, and B, what hint if I did.
Chris seems to have an answer, so I will say, no hint.
Right.
He seems to have an answer.
All right. I couldn't think of anything to not give it a like. I don't want to say that either. I was just trying to figure out what was the safest hint, I guess would be my point. But Chris seems pretty confident. So, Michael, I'll give you 15 seconds. So, put us at the 42-minute mark there. That'll give us time for question 9, question 10, and the finale, which is 60 seconds. But got to go through the answer choices, and y'all are probably going to write a million of them. So, got to have time for that. All right, 42 minutes. Do you have an answer written down, my friend?
Yeah, I do.
All right, Chris was confident. We'll go with Chris first.
Okay, I was between 2. Rick Pitino was my initial thought, but he is not the first. He's the most recent. And so I went with somebody. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, so I went with a former Gopher, Tubby Smith. I think he did it, and it would make sense that he was probably the first one.
Other half of the Dinga and DeRosa podcast. What do you got?
I don't know if you, the listeners, at least watching this back, saw it. As soon as Trev read the question, I immediately picked up my pen, and just started writing because I'm like, oh my God, I got this.
Okay. Was that what you stuck with?
I did, and I was so confident originally. If it was like Jeopardy, I would have buzzed in and answered immediately. Now that I have time to think of it, I am certain this is wrong. But I went with the other guy Chris was talking about, Rick Pitino, the Rick Pitino update, and we're going to cross off that part.
Look, it's just not humanly possible to do any kind of trivia without Rick Pitino being an answer, right? But unfortunately for you guys, he already has been an answer choice, right? The 2013 Louisville, kind of, all right, scapegoat a little bit there, right? This guy, the answer choice that neither of you put, the first person to do it led, and I'm going to go through them, Kansas State, Florida, Illinois, UNLV, and Oklahoma. There's no bonus point here. Does anybody have it after that? I'm delaying the
Lon Kruger.
Yeah.
It's Lon Kruger. It is Lon Kruger. The correct answer is Lon Kruger. Tubby Smith and Rick Pitino have since joined him. Lon Kruger's teams participated in 21 NCAA tournaments, including 2 Final Fours, 94 with Florida and 2016 with Oklahoma. All right, bonus point.
Team Rick Pitino led. I did Iona, Louisville, Kentucky, Providence, and I scribbled it out and was like, oh my God, I'm so wrong. He only did 4. I'm an idiot.
Anybody want to pipe in there? Anybody? Chris? Anybody being the only person that's not me? The fact that I can't name this either off the top of my head is bad because I feel like we should all know this, but I'm pulling it up right now because it's a travesty. Michael, name them one more time.
I had Iona, Louisville, Kentucky, Providence.
I accidentally pulled up Rick Pitino's player page. He led, you said, Iona, Louisville, Kentucky, Providence, Boston. Did he lead Boston University? He did.
Yeah.
Boston U.
82-83. Honestly, I forget he even coached there. So
I'm less angry at my answer now.
All right, bonus point.
Correct.
You have 30 seconds, and I'll tell you when to start thinking about the answer. And as soon as I said we'll go to the 45-minute mark here, I'll read the question. That'll give you 30 seconds. Write down the one school that Lon Kruger did not make the NCAA tournament. It's also where he started his career and had a losing record. You have 30 seconds. So write down the school that Lon Kruger, the only school that he did not lead to the NCAA tournament and had a losing record at to begin his career. After that, he was a winning machine. You've got 15 seconds.
What branch of... Jeez.
I loosely abbreviated this a little bit, but...
I did not get this correct.
All right. We lock in an answer.
Yeah.
Which Texas school is Chris going to pick?
Oh, okay. Which is it? Have it lock in for you because it's been 30 seconds. I got to be fair here.
Okay.
What you got? I'll have you go first since you wrote it in there quick. Actually, Michael, you did quick. You had something down fast, so go right ahead.
You better put your pen down.
It's all good.
I was surprised that Chris was confident it was a Texas school. I just randomly guessed UTEP, and then I wrote underneath it Jason Giambi University because in case I was like embarrassed, I was gonna say that was my answer. So like I'd like save face by not putting a real answer. So
Okay.
if it's actually UTEP, he's making me a little more confident than I should be.
I ended up going with Rio Grande Valley, but Arlington initially. I was 50-50. It's one of them. I ended with RGV. I don't know.
All right. Is that ultimately what you did?
Yep.
All right. I have to be fair and give him the bonus point because the fact that we are even in the realm of possibility, it's RGV. It's Texas RGV. I cannot believe like Michael. There's no. I feel terrible because he kind of wrote both, and then he technically didn't get the first one like we all agreed on. But then that's kind of how the rules work. So I have to give it to you. That's incredible. Can you please?
I will not object to that in the slightest. That is an incredible pull. When he said RGV, I was like, "There's no way they were D1 at that time."
They were independent. They were independent. Yeah. I'm never going to say that college basketball sicko isn't a real terminology, but please, for the love of everything that is holy, explain how you got that or knew that.
Well, so my uncle was actually he worked for Oklahoma for their baseball program. He was a coach there, and so I kind of grew up and that's kind of the Trae Young thing too. Is I kind of grew up watching a lot of Oklahoma athletics, so I ended up knowing a lot of Lon Kruger, and I know he started at one of those schools. RGV was genuinely just a guess between them, and I thought maybe Arlington too, but picked the right one.
Fair. All is fair in Trivia Showdown. All right, question number 9. Let's keep rolling here.
Is that the most ridiculous poll you've had on this show in its entirety?
There are some choice ones. We did, long story short, because we're at the 47-minute mark, we had the Houston Rockets trivia, and it was Hakeem Olajuwon combined steals and blocks in his career, and both guys wrote the same exact number.
Wow.
That to me, I think about that once a month.
Was it like 900 or was it like 937? Like it was.
They both wrote like 3,200. I mean, they both wrote a number that was not an even 3,200. It was like something stupid. It was like I have to go and find the number. It was dumb. It to this day is still like the most ridiculous. And there's some. I'll have to put together some funny moments and I'll send it to you guys. But like that's definitely up there. Is that the most correct random poll ever? Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I led with there's no way you're getting it right. So
yeah, tip the cap.
All right, question number 9. We'll get a score update here in just a second. Closest to the number without going over. So we're not going to give you too long on this one. We'll go 30, 45 seconds for the sake of time. Detroit Mercy's Antonio Davis played 144 career games from 2019 to 2023. He leads the NCAA all-time. Not in points, of course, because that's a controversial topic, but in made career three-point field goals. And of course, this is since 1986-87. How many did he make? Again, this is closest to the number without going over. We're going to go Price is Right, final Trivia Showdown, whatever that Showcase Showdown style here. A little bit of a showdown name carry on. Close to the number without going over. I'll read it one more time. We'll get an answer. Detroit Mercy's Antonio Davis played 144 career games from 2019 to 2023, and he leads the NCAA all-time in his career in made three-point field goals since 1986-87, of course, is the record there. How many did he make?
How many games did he play?
144.
Okay.
It's a good question. I don't think that's in the question, so I think that's fair. Of course.
Well, you said it. That's the only reason I thought of it.
You're right. All right. Give it about 10 more seconds here, and I'll get an answer from you guys. So we've got one more regular question, and then we will jump right into the finale head first. So we got to make sure we had time for everybody to actually listen to this whole thing from start to finish in an hour, give or take. All right. Do we have answers locked in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went too high.
Neither of you feel confident, so the draw of a hat, we'll go with Chris.
All right. I did 144 times 3.5 to get me to 504. That's
Okay.
he's certainly above 500. It's probably a little bit higher than that, but 504 seems like 3.5 per game, probably pretty good.
I
Sure.
went 144 times 3, and then I was really afraid of going over. So I went 407 and went a lot lower.
Okay.
That might be right.
All right.
I
So
mean, so many threes. I mean, he took a lot,
He
but
shoots
like
so much.
he
So
did. But
much.
that's so. And was he shooting like that his freshman year?
Yeah.
too?
was he? I guess we're about to find out. So Chris, you mentioned the per game number there as part of your logic. So remind the listeners and myself while I look it up. How many did you say he did per game potentially?
I said right around 3.5, or that's what I calculated it as. Yep. To get to
Okay.
504.
All right. So for some reason, I am having a difficult time finding the name Antonio Davis on basketball sports college
Antoine.
basketball
Yeah,
reference.
Antoine. Antoine.
Antoine. Yeah, I did that. Antonie.
Antoine.
Yeah.
N-E.
Antoine.
Yeah.
Jeez. Thanks for having a really awesome spelling name. I don't have the per game number in front of me. I can't get it pulled up for whatever reason. Shout out to Sports Reference. The correct answer, Chris is going to get a point, 588. Neither of you went over. Totally fair the way you guys thought about it. No bonus points, but off just, first thing name to come to your head. Who's second? Anybody?
3-pointers made.
That's an
awesome.
average of 4 point. He made over 4 threes a game.
That's nuts. How many did he shoot? Like 11 per game? 11 and a half per game.
I am pulling it up now in a really roundabout way, but I'm going to the guy in second. So anybody can anybody tell me the guy in second? I have it written down. That's the only reason I'm getting there quickly.
Threes made.
Yep, threes made in a career.
Doug McDermott.
It might be. Pete Maravich. I don't know.
didn't have
It is Darius McGee.
Oh.
Darius McGee
Yeah, that makes sense.
with 528. And I know what I spelled wrong. Okay. Anyway, not relevant. He shot 37.5% in his career. The freshman, he shot. Oh my God, his freshman year he shot 21.9 field goal attempts per game, which was 11.6 3-point attempts per game. Oh my God, that was the second highest mark of his career, only to his senior season, and 41% from three his senior season as well, or his last season. And his total, what'd you say, per game was like 3, 4, maybe something like that his freshman year. Yeah, he averaged, like I said, he averaged 10.9 in his career per game.
I was terrified of going over. I wasn't even close.
Yeah, he was chucking them. So, question number 10. This is courtesy of our friend John Fanta.
We got a tie, yeah?
I believe so. Yeah. What's the
No,
score?
4-3, right?
4-3. Who?
1,
Help me
2.
out.
Do you have 4?
I have 3. I have 3.
I have 4.
Including
Okay.
the bonus point? Is the bonus point? I got that
Chris,
right?
yeah, you got the bonus point. He got that one, and then
Yeah.
he got.
I'm playing host, not scoreboard here. That's why I'm asking you guys. Helps
Yeah.
me out.
Then he got the Rick Pitino one,
Uh-huh.
the Louisville 2013. I got Gonzaga, Mark Few, Duke, and then Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, Chris Jackson.
Okay. Yep. So 4-3, Michael. All right.
Okay.
Again, question number 10. No special format here. We'll give you about a minute or so. We'll jump right into it. It's 55-minute mark. This one, again, is courtesy of our friend John Fanta. From Fox Sports Research, more specifically, I guess. Zach Edey became the first Division I player this season with 900 points and 450 rebounds in a single season. Who was the last player to achieve this feat?
Last player to get 900 points, 450 rebounds.
Yep. I was reading Michael's message and wasn't reading the question back again like I was supposed to. Again, courtesy of our friend John Fanta, Zach Edey became the first Division I player with 900 points and 450 rebounds in a single season since who? That's a better way to word it. Since who? 900 points, 450 rebounds, single season, who? I don't unfortunately know how many people have ever done it, period, but don't think it's relevant for the sake of it. That's not how you're going to get a point here. So, So I'll read it one more time. Any thought process here? I know this is the final question. I know it's tight. This is good. This is what I wanted. I wanted it to be close going into the finale. So,
I mean, this is going to be somebody, in an older era, certainly.
Okay.
Man.
If I had the time and I had the ability to clear out my stat head right now, because it is our finale question already ready and pulled up, I would go find out how many people have done this, but that is a really hard query to pull right now. So how many players have done this since this, and this many points and this many rebounds? It would take a minute, but I might do it during the finale if I have time. If not, I'll put it on the screen or something like that. All right. Do we have an answer here shortly?
This is not right. I'm not getting this.
Michael, go right ahead, my friend.
All right. Well, I thought of 3 names at first. One of them
Me
was
too.
Oscar Shibwe. Then Chris said this is someone from an older era, so I crossed out Oscar Shibwe. If it's Oscar Shibwe, I'm gonna be kind of.
You're beating me, buddy.
I love how you did that. You heard his thought process and said, you know what, he's probably right, and scratched it out.
Yeah.
I like that.
Patrick Ewing was another answer, but I thought it's probably someone in between that time. So I went with, God, there's no way this is correct. Tyler Hansborough.
Ooh,
That correctly.
That's a fair
nice.
shout.
That's a good answer. That maybe.
That Shibwe, I was thinking, like, I don't think he scored enough. Like, that was my first thought. And then Chris said that, and I'm like, he definitely didn't score enough if Chris didn't even consider it.
I think
Yeah.
it had to have been somebody that scored more.
Yeah.
All right. And who would that be from Chris?
Well,
I don't think
I had it down to 3. For the first name, I thought was Kareem. And then I thouut maybe too old. The other 2 names I had were
Also wasn't called Kareem, but I'm not being technical. Just kidding.
Patrick Ewing, but I don't
Oh.
think he scored enough.
You both
And
had
then,
Patrick
and
Ewing.
then
This is good.
Larry Bird was the other one. He got a lot more rebounds than people think. So that was a possibility. But I did end up going with the correct name, Mr. Alcindor Kareem.
I don't know if this is the first time this has happened today, but multiple answers were written down and went with one and not the other. I think that's happened once or twice today. And only one of you said it. It's Larry Legend, Indiana State in 1978-79. He had more than 900 points and 450 rebounds in a single season. And honestly, I'm really surprised that no one else did it between 79 and now. Like, it really, Patrick Ewing is really surprising. He really is.
I did think about Larry Bird for a second, but I immediately took it off. I'm like,
Anything like that, you have
there
to
was some
assume he's up
assists in
there.
there. Like that's Larry Legend. And the rebounds, I thought he was going to be short on that.
Totally fair.
Wow.
So we are 4-3 Michael heading into the finale.
I mean,
I feel like I dropped the ball there. That was
No,
missed
we're good.
opportunity.
This is anybody's game, literally here. Okay, I'm going to read the rules. I'll have you hold your pens up here in just a second, and I'll read the question. And as soon as I say begin, that's when the timer will start. And then, obviously, with a minute, we're getting close to the hour mark here, and we'll get you guys out of here. So thank you for the time today. In the finale, you have 60 seconds to write as many possible answer choices down as you can. You do not lose points for wrong answers. I cannot make that clear enough. Do not hesitate to write stuff down. I don't care if it takes extra time. You do not get penalized for writing wrong answers down. I want you to get stuff down. Okay? 60 seconds. Do not listen to me. Don't worry about what I'm saying, and I will give you time updates. If you have questions, you can ask, but that cuts into your time. Just keep that in mind. Okay? Now that that is out of the way, I'm going to name the question, and as soon as I say the word begin, with an audio delay, of course, as soon as you both hear it, you'll hear it just as soon as you hear it go. Okay? Name as many teams to win a national championship not as a 1 seed. Begin. And to be clear, as you're writing, this won't throw anything off. If they won it as a 1 seed, cool. But if they won multiple, cool. I'm counting it if they're on the number 2 seed list, if they're on 2 and above. So non-1 seeds to win national championships. Again, this one is supposed to be a wide net, okay? And I'll give you an update on time here shortly. But again, do not listen to me. You both are flying, and I hope neither of you write like 60 answers. That would be great. 30 seconds remaining. And if you're in the middle of writing, like you're halfway through in school at the end, I will let you complete it. I've changed that rule 1,000 times, so whatever will be fair here since it's 4-3. 15 seconds. National championships not as a 1 seed. Who won national championships not as a 1 seed? Unfortunately, you don't get multiple points for multiple national championships. Just one time on the list counts as that school. Pins down. finish out whatever one you're currently on. If you have one, if you didn't start it, not a big deal, but I appreciate both stopping there. All right. How do we feel before we jump into it?
I should have got more names down.
Dude, there was a time where I was just sitting there thinking, and there were a couple names that's like those teams just dumb schools came to mind that didn't do it.
All right. I have got the list up on my screen on the other side. So let's do this the easiest way I can do this. Who wrote down? Chris, how many did you write down? We'll get the number from both of you. Just count them up for me. Make sure.
2, 4,
Michael,
5,
same
6,
thing.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Okay, we'll do this quickly. Michael.
I had 14.
Okay. And weird twist of fate.
Not correct, so don't worry.
Weird twist of it's fine. Weird twist of fate. We're going to go with Michael first. And to be clear, I'm pretty sure there are only let's see. How many correct answers are there? Okay, never mind. There's like a ton, but there's a bunch of duplicates. So, I will just pull it if they're on the list, regardless. Michael, we'll go with your list since you had one extra. And Chris, just for the sake of easy time here, if he says one and I say it's correct, just mark it down for us, and we'll get a kind of drum roll reveal here at the end. All right. Michael, who's your first one?
Villanova.
That is correct.
UConn.
Villanova. Jesus.
Yes.
UConn, that is also correct.
I wrote, you were doing your explanation of multiple times there. I wrote multiple times next to it, so I wanted bonus points if I could have got that.
That's fair.
I put Michigan.
Let's double check here. I'm just going to do Control F because this is really long. That Michigan is correct.
Oh, it is.
We talked about it earlier. They beat Seton Hall.
Yes. I almost put Seton Hall on my list, and I'm like, they didn't win a natty. I put Louisville next.
Louisville is correct. They are at
wow.
the top of this list concurrently here. They beat an 8 seed and a 1 seed.
I put Syracuse.
Let's
You're 1 or a 2 when Mello won it.
Let's double check here for you, my friend. They are correct.
I put Duke.
They are 99.9% sure they're correct. Yeah, they are correct.
Wow.
Could have been a 1 every time.
Kansas.
Wow. The storied history of the Kansas Jayhawks. They somehow have done it. They were a 6 seed in 1988 against Oklahoma. That is correct.
North Carolina.
Your last two were Duke and Kansas, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just writing them down as we go, so it'll help
Yeah.
going through Chris's list and see how many he didn't have on there. Let me make sure. North Carolina is your first incorrect answer.
Yeah, I'm going to be on a run of those. Did you also put UNC, Chris?
Yep, I already circled it because I was that sure it was right.
I put UNLV next.
Okay, and I'm pretty sure in here they are listed as Las Vegas, Las Vegas or UNLV. Let me just double check for the sake of fun. UNLV, Nevada. I'm just going to type Nevada. They are not correct.
That's what I thought.
Ooh.
Okay. Thank God, because I'm tired of these. I'm tired of these scores of 15 to like 11, like last game was.
Well, I got a couple that are. I'm going to be on a run. There are 3 on my list that I know for a fact are not correct. Well,
Okay.
I'm very confident are not correct. I put Texas Western next.
that is a really fun nugget there.
How did they enter your brain in 60 seconds? That's
team
great.
that won a national title is just coming to mind, and I'm like, Texas Western, game of change. I'm like, Loyola didn't win it to Cincinnati. I have no idea.
And who did they ultimately become? Remind me.
Excuse me?
Who did Texas Western ultimately become?
UTEP.
UTEP, that's right. And just let me just for fun, let me type in UTEP. No, incorrect.
Yeah. I don't know how this team came to mind. Oklahoma.
I don't think they've even won one period, have they?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's an incorrect.
Yeah. Kentucky.
That's a good one. I actually don't know. I'm gonna look just to make sure. Kentucky is correct.
This one's not correct because I know the only time they won it, they were a 1 seed. I was at this game. Not to brag, got him for free. Baylor. They were
Baylor.
on it, so
They were.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I almost forgot to put this team. And last second I put them right. This was a little bit before you said pens down, at least when
That's
I heard
fair
it.
this week.
The University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA.
Did UCLA ever win it as a lower seed? They did not.
Really?
Yes, including that year with Jim Herrick. Apparently, yeah. I'm going off of the query I put together for Sports Reference. I mean, this is
Wow.
Yes, I think that's correct. I mean, we can to fact check there. Shocker if I got it wrong here for a second. But all right,
he also put that, so it would even out anyway.
Really quick. So Michael got Villanova, UConn, Michigan, Louisville, Syracuse, Duke, and Kansas, and those are his correct answers. Not as many as I thought.
Wait, was Kentucky not correct?
Kentucky, sorry, and Kentucky. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, before we do anything else, Chris, did you have anything that was not any of those teams?
I have 5.
All right, so you have 5 nods. This is interesting. All right, I don't want the score. I don't want anybody doing math. Go ahead. Tell me the 5 you did not. He did not say.
I have Michigan State.
That is correct. They were a 2 seed.
I have Indiana
That was the Magic
State.
Johnson year, to be clear. That was
Okay.
the Magic Johnson year. Which means Indiana State is incorrect. They lost that national.
Did they not ever win one?
No.
Indiana State? No, they did not.
With Larry Legend?
No.
I got Florida.
Let me check Florida here. Did Billy Donovan do it as a 1 seed both times?
Yeah.
They did not. Florida is correct.
Good pull.
Thank you.
That is a good pull. They were a 3 seed against UCLA.
Then I have 2 more. I have San Francisco.
San Francisco. That is incorrect.
And then I wrote down Florida State as well.
And I am.
You're just getting anything down.
I am almost certain that when I type in Florida, the only Florida that pops up will be Florida, and that is correct. Florida is the only thing that pops up, so Florida State's wrong. All right, FSU incorrect. So you got an additional 2, but add up y'all's scores and then let me know what the total is.
I have mine. I think it's going to be more dramatic if Chris reveals his first, unless he wants me to reveal mine first, in which I will.
No, Chris, go right ahead. I like that. Yep.
In that round, I got 8 points.
Which puts you at?
Oh boy.
3 plus 8, Chris.
11.
I think I know my answer here, Michael. What is your final score, my friend?
I got 8 in that final round as well, which puts me at 12.
Wow. You cannot write a better script than that. I appreciate you guys for sticking to the script. No, I'm totally joking. Congratulations to Michael. Hey, thank you to both of you. That was an incredible. Look, you cannot. Thank you for the content. This is incredible.
Thank you for hosting this. Are you kidding me, Trev? This was so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. Flowers here. Let's return the favor here. It's at MD the Dream. It's at Chris or C the Dinga. Plug away. We'll start from my left to Michael. Anything y'all are working on? I know that we're doing this. Technically, this is June/July, so really bad timing on this question. But just anything in the future, anything that you guys want to say, let it rip. Michael, go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, in the time between
and gloat. You're allowed. You're allowed to gloat. By the way.
No,
well, I can tell you right now, Chris, I will be preparing a meme onslaught that will be on my Twitter feed probably like 2-3 days after this podcast publishes. I'm very excited for that. I've been thinking about that more than I was thinking about actually playing the game. So I will be doing that. I apologize, but I really don't. It's going to be funny. MD the Dreams, will you see that? Chris and I, Dinga and DeRosa, we got to get back on Dinga and DeRosa. It's been too long since we talked. We played Type Racer before the show, and he beat me, so I will give him that. It wasn't all that close. Road to the Garden, where we have all our stuff. We need to get back on Dinga and DeRosa. But yeah, Trev, this was so much fun. Thank you very much for having us. This was a blast. This was awesome.
Chris, any plugs or parting thoughts?
Yeah. Really good time. Larry Bird is gonna haunt me in my dreams forever, and yeah, question 10 etched into my brain for the rest of history. See Thedinga on Twitter. Michael and I will be working on some stuff coming up, I believe. That will be pretty fun on House Enterprise, and also Road to the Garden, Dinga and DeRosa. Those are the 2 podcasts that you can hear me on. That's all I got. Thank you, everybody, for listening. That was a fun one.
Paid in full, baby.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You can follow these two fellas on the Twitters on the screen for the YouTube audience. For those of you listening on all of our amazing podcast platforms, it will be linked in the bottom of the description, top of the description, wherever. It'll be down there. You'll be able to track how the all these bets that can currently happen throughout tonight. These two guys are gamblers, and somehow Pizza and Big E's tournament got thrown into there. So I'm super excited to see how that turns out 18 months later or however long it is.
Real quick, is anyone surprised that the rightful king took his throne? Because like without the king there, it's just a chair. Like anyone can sit there. But thankfully the king took his throne. Like, does that surprise anyone? Anyone listening? No.
Michael's making my life in editing really hard, putting a crown above his head right now because he's leaning back. So thank you. All right. I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you for coming by. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things that you normally do. This has been the Two Pointers Podcast. I'm Trevor Everett, and we will see you next time on Trivia Showdown.